Happy Sabbath and welcome to Family Experience. If it's your first time joining us either online or live, we want to extend a special welcome to you and your family. Our focus in Family Experience is to co-disciple with you and your family to show and teach our children the love and grace of Jesus Christ. What better way to prepare our hearts and our minds for the kingdom than as a family? One of our goals as parents is to see our children develop God-centered decision-making skills. Kids are placed in plenty of situations today where they need such discernment. While the wisdom they would need on a daily basis may not be to scale of King Solomon, they will still collect valuable insight about wisdom from the stories that we learn. They will first discover that wisdom comes from God, and that being wise has a lot to do with saying the right things and asking the right questions, all of which we can ask God for, who will give them to us because we can trust Him. The Bible tells us in James 1:5, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, and it will be given to you. Our story today is about a man named Nehemiah. Now, Nehemiah was born long after King Solomon, but by the time he was around, the city where Solomon had built the temple was in poor shape. The walls of the temple had completely fallen apart, and this made Nehemiah sad. So Nehemiah did a special thing, and he asked God for something very important. Let's watch and find out.
Hey everyone, I'm glad you're here. Hey, what's your favorite thing to draw? I like to draw pizza and puppies and my family. But I have a really big family, so they're kind of hard to draw. Have you ever made something that was really hard to make? Well, in today's story, we'll meet a guy named Nehemiah who wanted to make something that was really hard to make. It wasn't a drawing, but let me tell you what it was. Nehemiah was from a city called Jerusalem, but he lived far away. When our story begins, Nehemiah was sad. He'd just heard from his brother that his hometown was in trouble. The people in Jerusalem didn't follow God like they used to, and the walls surrounding their city were falling down. This was hard news for Nehemiah to hear. He trusted God, but he didn't understand why the city he loved was crumbling like that. So Nehemiah went to the king he worked for and asked for permission to go home and lead his people in rebuilding Jerusalem. The king said, "Go!" and even gave Nehemiah help in making the long journey ahead of him. Rebuilding the walls was a big job. In fact, even though Nehemiah knew God wanted him to lead his people, he wasn't sure how to get it done. But Nehemiah trusted God. He said, "Okay, God, if this is going to happen, you'll have to tell me what to do next." And guess what? God heard Nehemiah's prayers and showed him what to do. Even when people doubted if Nehemiah knew what he was doing, he knew God was right there, helping him every time he had a question. Just like Nehemiah went to God when he wasn't sure what to do, we can ask God our questions too.
We should always ask questions when we don't have answers. God always finds a way to give us the answers that we need, so we can ask God our questions. Parents, we live in a generation where answers are at our fingertips, literally. If you want to know the cost of something, you want to know the availability of something, you want to know how to fix your flat tire or how to grow a plant, you can get it right away on the internet. But there are some life questions that the internet can't answer, like, when is the suffering to my illness going to end? Or, I'm struggling to understand why my friends aren't so friendly to me anymore. These are real questions that only God has answers to, and He will answer in His time. Spend some time this week thinking of some trivia questions that you've always wanted to know. Things like, how many people fit in the Sistine Chapel? Or, how deep can a whale swim without taking a breath? Make a list of these questions and then look them up on the internet with your children. Make a big deal with your children at how fast it was to find the answers and how relieved you were to have answers so quickly. Then talk about the questions that the internet may not have answers to. Ask your children if there are questions they have that the internet can't answer. God always finds a way to give us the answers that we need, so we can ask God our questions. I've linked songs, a craft, a family game for you this week as a resource on our CCP webpage. Please feel free to check it out. We hope that you have a great week. Some families are big, some families are small. God's grace keeps our family one and all.